Is that on? It looks like it was off. Yellow's muted. I got it. Okay, read the directions. I learned at the Air Force, follow the checklist. Very important. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome here. This is a great day. It's a great milestone. It's not an end of a journey, but it's a milestone to get us to where we want to go with quality of life. I want to take a moment and thank Chairman Rogers and Ranking Member Smith. I was a 5-time commander in the Air Force. It's always great when your commander, or in this case, chairman, is very invested in the mission that you're working. And he said this is his top priority, which has made it thrilling for our entire panel to be taking this on. So I want to thank our chairman and our ranking member for their support, and that this is a priority for them. I also want to just take a moment and thank Chrissy Houlahan, Congressman from Pennsylvania. This has not been a Republican or Democrat operation. This has been an American panel, an American priority here to take care of our men and women serving in the military. And she's been a great partner in leading this panel, and I'm grateful to her. And our panel itself, bipartisan. We were working as a team, and it was fun working with this great group because we were focused on making a difference for our men and women in uniform. So when we started this panel, our one goal was to improve the quality of life for military service members and their families. I'm incredibly proud to work with this bipartisan panel and what it has accomplished. Over the past year, we've done dozens of briefings, meetings, hearings to uncover the quality of life issues impacting service members and military families. Here's some of our findings. I think and some of them were shocking from our perspective. Pay for junior enlisted service members failed to keep up with inflation or remain competitive with today's civilian labor market. Housing costs are soaring, but the housing allowances are not keeping pace, forcing families to pay more out of pocket. Service members living in unaccompanied housing are exposed to regular sewage overflows, gas leaks, mold, brown tap water, bed bugs, and rodents. We were shocked to see the deterioration, or at least I was, the deterioration that has occurred here since I retired from the military in 2014. Service members and dependents are awaiting weeks to see mental health providers. We found that wait times for child care can exceed 6 months. And 22% of our military spouses are unemployed and face unnecessary hurdles in finding employment. It's the largest demographic in America for unemployment, military spouses. Our panel came up with bipartisan policy recommendations that will get at the root cause of these problems. And this is where you may want to take notes. We recommend giving junior enlisted service members a 15% pay raise, expanding allowances for housing and food, and improving the cost of living calculation. We recommend fully funding housing maintenance accounts and strengthening oversight of military housing programs. We recommend fully funding child care fee assistance programs and mitigating child care staffing shortages at DoD facilities. We recommend expanding access to medical providers, especially mental health providers, and increasing oversight of healthcare accessibility for service members. And we recommend expanding DoD programs to provide employment support to military spouses and making it easier for spouses to transfer professional licenses across the states. You can read all these details in the brochure that we have ready for you today. We must never forget, and this is what I think is most important, that the all-volunteer force is the foundation of America's military strength. For this reason, military quality of life is a central national security issue, and we can no longer ignore the clear warning signs that more must be done to protect and preserve the all-volunteer force. You know, we've had the all-volunteer force for 50 years. We've recruited America's best. But when the quality of life is such that it weighs us down, we cannot ignore it. To ensure we have a ready, capable, and lethal force to deter China and our other adversaries, it's vital we fix these quality of life issues. So today is a milestone on the path to keep our all-volunteer force healthy and able. But we're going to have a lot more work to do after today. We've got to get this stuff in the NDAA, and we're going to have to appropriate what we're recommending. So with that, I'd like to now bring up Representative Chrissy Houlahan, who's been a great partner in this entire effort. Chrissy.
Thank you, Rep. Bacon. It is a privilege to be here, and thank you as well, obviously, to the chairman and to Ranking Member Smith, as well as to the members of the panel, subcommittee, whatever we called it, working force, task force. There were many words for this work, but I can honestly say I'm on a bit emotional standing here today because I believe so strongly in the work of this group. I believe so strongly in the importance of the work of this group. It's been kind of a running joke in my office, not just recently, but over the last 6 or so months, that if you can't find me, I'm probably with Representative Bacon talking about quality of life issues. We have been sort of joined at the hip for the last several months on this really important issue. But in all seriousness, for all of the headaches that we hear about and that we experience every day in Capitol Hill that get reported on, we very, very rarely have the opportunity to see and hear and be reported on what places like this committee are doing and what this panel has accomplished, and that it will, I believe, be an absolute breakthrough and a game changer for our men and women in uniform. As Representative Bacon mentioned, so many important initiatives in this report, and I'll just highlight a handful because he has already, and I'm certain those who follow me will also do the same. But I'm going to first put on my proverbial teacher's hat. I used to be a high school chemistry teacher, and implore you to please do your homework. And what that means is please read the report itself. Please go through all of its findings, all of its discoveries, all of its solutions, because it really is a robust report on countless hours of work on the part of the people of our committee, people who came and spoke in front of our committee, and it's really worth the read. So it was very hard for me and my team to select some of the highlights, but here are some that I do want to make sure don't get overlooked. Of course, as mentioned previously, it's hard to not overlook pay that is not possible, not comparable to what's going on in the civilian sector, and also not keeping up with inflation. A 15% pay raise for E1 to E4 is something that's pretty darn remarkable, and something that I'm certain I would have welcomed when I was a younger person in the military as well. Mentioned already as well has been childcare and childcare expenses for those who are working in our childcare development centers, free childcare for their first child at a minimum. And this gets, of course, more staff on the books in our childcare centers. It opens available slots so classrooms and daycare centers are not empty because they don't have staff, and it therefore reduces wait times, which was a personal issue to me when I served active duty. Also, making sure that we share out our community-based child care practices with installations that have already skinned this cat, so to speak, and have already done good things in child care. We want to make sure we're sharing those best practices, and that is also included in this report. The services regularly request less than what they need for our facilities is one of the discoveries of this committee. And it makes it really hard for us to see the full picture when people are sort of conditioned to ask for less than what they need. So we have asked instead and recommended that facility budget requests actually meet 100% of the maintenance and modernization requirements so that we here have a better idea, better data on what our shortfalls are and what our progress has been. I'll pause for a minute and say Wi-Fi. You would think that that wasn't necessarily part of the finding of this report, but think about the quality of life that we all enjoy because we have Wi-Fi. High quality access to Wi-Fi and technology and information. What we've discovered, which I don't think would shock many who've actually served, is that many of our junior enlisted service members don't have access to reliable quality Wi-Fi, and we want to make sure that we fix that as well. On to health care. Service members won't need referrals any longer for things like physical therapy, nutrition, women's health, audiology, optometry, and podiatry specialties. These are unnecessary obstacles that are bad. They're bad for the care and the overall health of our force and, frankly, the readiness of our force as well. And so we ask to remove those as well. And the last two things that I'll highlight. Supporting military spouses and expanding child care access from 90 to 180 days while a spouse searches for a job. And finally, permanently expanding the partnership that exists between our U.S. Chamber of Commerce and their Hiring Our Heroes program and the military so that we can utilize existing networks in the civilian world to make sure that we support our military spouses. I could tell you countless stories that we heard from the countless people who came in front of our working group about why all of this is so important. But my own personal experiences with my own struggles with child care in the military and my mother's struggle as a mom, military spouse, have definitely informed the passion that I have for this particular issues. And those remind us that today, our military, all volunteer military, is the strongest military in the world, is deserving of a good wage, safe housing, food options that men and women actually want to eat, and so on, and so on, and so on. So, as Rep. Bacon said, this is not the end of our journey, because the real work is only beginning now. The work to get co-sponsors, and I invite those of you who would like to participate as a co-sponsor, working to get this into the NDAA and then across the finish line. In fact, just today I was able to speak to our Democratic caucus and give a little bit of a preview of this, and I believe the response was very, very, very positive, so that's good news. And by the way, we need to make sure that we use this model to tackle other issues, including education and on military installations, the Reserve and the National Guard, and specific issues such as those, and so much more. So in closing, this is a day of renewed commitment. I very much look forward to my continued partnership with Representative Bacon, Ranking Member Smith, and all of the incredible military service organizations, as well as the fabulous Chairman Rogers, whom I am proud to hand it over to next. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm very proud of the product that Don Bacon and Chrissy Houlahan and their task force members have put together here. And Chrissy, I did my homework over the weekend and read the full report, and it's very impressive. I also want to thank my partner in running the committee, Adam Smith. When I went to him at the beginning of this Congress and told him I wanted to make this a priority, he gave it his full-throated support and has been that way ever since. This is very important to us. I want to thank the service organizations that were here and for your input in helping us, this task force, put this together, and thank the families who are serving our country in the military. We don't often think about the fact that it's not just the service members who commit; it's their spouses and it's their children, their extended family. And I hope with this task force and what we're going to do with this, we're showing those families we care, because the way we've been treating them so far is not indicative of caring enough. The fact is, it's not just the pay that's been inadequate, grossly inadequate in some instances where we have service members qualify for public assistance, but it is housing, it is child care, it's health care, it's the fulsomeness of the quality of life issues that show people whether or not we value them. And if we want to have and continue to have a professional military, we're going to have to compete with the private sector. We're going to have to show these families that we value them, and we show them by doing what we're going to do with this task force report. I will say that it's my expectation that this report, that I hope all of you will do your homework and read, will be the foundation of the 2025, FY 2025 National Defense Authorization Act. We intend to take all of their recommendations and put them into this bill, and the bill will travel on this foundation. It's one of the things that I take particular pride about being on the Armed Services Committee. As you know, we pass the NDAA every year, no matter who's in the White House, no matter who controls the Congress. For 63 years, we find a way to get it across the finish line. I tell you that to say we intend to get this across the finish line with these recommendations in it. So we're just not having a press conference saying we ought to do this. It'd be nice if we did. We are going to do what's in this report. So thank you for your help. I want to thank the committee members, and I want to introduce my partner, Adam Smith.
Thank you very much. Well, I agree with everything that my three colleagues have said, and that the foundation of our military are the people who serve, and as the chairman just correctly pointed out, and their families. That is what gives us the greatest military in the world, is the people who serve. So we have to make sure that we support them in every possible way. And as the chairman correctly pointed out, that doesn't just mean the individual service member, that means his or her family as well, across a wide range of issues. That's what this report is all about. That's what the commitment for the FY25 NDAA is all about. And then I want to thank Representative Bacon and Houlahan for their incredible leadership in this task force, and all the members who served on the task force, the work that they did to really comprehensively look at the issues. issues. And you can tell from both what Don and Chrissy had to say, how passionate they are about this, but even more importantly, how detailed they are about this. They dove into this and really examined the issue to figure out what we could do, and I can't thank them enough for their tremendous leadership on this. And then, again, as the chairman said, the veteran service organizations and the men and women who serve and their families were also a crucial part of this. Reaching out to them, hearing from them, learning how we could be helpful was incredibly important. But this task force was very, very well run. So I really appreciate the members who did that. Lastly, I'll thank the chairman for creating it in the first place, for having the vision to see that this task force could be crucially important to the work we do on our committee. And I will join him in the commitment to get this done this year. As he said, we've passed the defense bill 63 straight years. We're going to go for the 64th this year, and it's going to include these incredibly important recommendations. So thank you very much for being here and this whole process.
Now we're going to invite some other members up. Next up is Nancy Mace from South Carolina.
Thank you, General. In South Carolina, first of all, I want to thank General Bacon and Congresswoman Houlahan. I want to thank Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member Smith. I believe in you, and I believe in this panel. I believe in our committee, and that this will happen. When you say it, I believe it. And this is actually one of the few places in Congress, despite what we might see on the news on TV, where we are working together, where we are nonpartisan, we are making a difference in the lives of people everywhere. In South Carolina, we have 37,000 active duty service members, 12,000 spouses of those service members, 18,000 children in those families, 17,000 National Guard and military reserves. And if you didn't move to Austin, Texas during the COVID, or Miami, Florida, you moved to Charleston, South Carolina. Is the 10th fastest growing district in the country, the district that I represent in South Carolina, which means it's very expensive. The cost of living has skyrocketed, and yet pay and the way that the housing is falling apart is dilapidated for our military. The pay can't keep up with the cost of goods and services. So I'm very excited to hear 15%, General Bacon, and I believe that and hope and pray that we get to do that for our service members. And I just want to thank each and every member of this panel for their hard work and dedication. You were at every meeting, hour after hour, and encouraged all of us. And I want to say thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Veronica Escobar. I have the incredible privilege of representing El Paso, Texas, and Fort Bliss, one of our premier military installations. I want to thank first and foremost everyone who came to testify before our panel. We went through months of testimony. Some of it was really challenging to hear. Some of it really forced us to look at the way we were operating and some of our failures as a United States Congress. But with that testimony as well came a lot of opportunity and a lot of hope. That would not have been possible without the commitment of Chairman Rogers, Ranking Member Smith, our incredible leaders, Chairman Bacon, Ranking Member Houlahan, and all of the members of the task force. We came together truly in a bipartisan spirit that I wish we could see all over Congress. We were unified in our mission. We were deeply committed to addressing deficiencies, and we wanted to demonstrate that the testimony, people who took time out of their day to come to Washington, D.C., to sit in front of us on Capitol Hill, that we took everything that they told us very seriously, and we wanted to make profound investments and changes based on what we learned from them. Frequently, when you hear about the House Armed Services Committee, you think about these global challenges that we are facing. We think about our military branches. We think about conflict. But really, it comes down to people. It comes down to the men and women who serve and their families, because it's not just the women and men who make the incredible sacrifice and commitment. It is their entire family. And I am so proud of the work that we did. I am so excited to be able to talk to colleagues about this and get buy-in from across the Congress so that we all come together, do the right thing, and support the very people who are on the front lines for us every single day. With that, I would like to turn it over to Representative Luttrell.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Quite honored to be here. It's been a privilege to be on this task force. Thank you, Chairman, Ranking Member, Mr. Bacon, Ms. Houlahan. As Ms. Escobar said, when you walked into the room, you could just tell we were there to listen and carry the rucksack of those people that were giving testimony to us. I'm big in the healthcare space, brain science, physical, cognitive instabilities, and the physical abilities of our service members into our veteran space is very, very important to me. And what we learned throughout this past year was how our members, what we can do for them, whether it's a baseline assessment when they onboard from boot camp and basic training, throughout their durations in the services, whether we're doing assessments pre and post deployments, after an injury, or just along the way. That way, when they transition out of active duty into the veteran space, there's a portfolio for them that we can hand off, and the veteran community is not overwhelmed by a broken brain or body. And that's very, very important. But it also lends itself to the establishment of how important the family unity is, right? My wife suffered through everything that I went through when I was in the military and out in the veteran space. And we want to include that. We listened. We heard what the spouses were saying, those who have lost their loved ones, and those who are dealing with their loved ones that are having these invisible issues, these invisible problems and these physical issues. And the best way that I can say that is that what you see behind me and on my left and my right flank are moving aggressively to solve these problems. And this is a very wide net. This is a large problem set that we're going to have to address this year, next year, and the year after. But we paid attention, and that's exactly what we're going to do from this day forward. So, again, leadership, thank you very much. And Ms. Jacobs.
San Diego.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I want to echo my colleagues' thanks to Chairman Rogers and Ranking Member Smith for really making this a priority, and to Representative Bacon and Houlahan for leading this task force in such an amazing way that we've been able to do so much. So I am incredibly proud to be the representative of San Diego, of the country's largest military community. San Diego is home to 110,000 active duty military personnel and more than 118,000 members of their family. My community deeply loves our country, and we have deeply served. And yet we here in Congress, we as a country, we have failed them. In San Diego, just in San Diego, we have 45,000 members of military families who visit the food bank every single month. The military child care wait list has been as long as 4,000 spots. We have service members who are living in their cars or couch surfing because they cannot find a place to live. And even when they do find housing, it's often not livable. I've seen for myself the mold and the infestations of mice and rodents, the windows that won't close, or the electrical panels that are definitely not up to code. That's why I can tell you with certainty that this panel's work will make a huge difference. It will save lives. It will improve our national security, and it will help the United States maintain its posture as the world's most powerful fighting force. I couldn't be prouder to have worked on this report and to work with this amazing group of colleagues that shows that we can still get big things done here in Congress, even amidst all the chaos. I bet you guys can't even tell which ones of us are Republicans or Democrats based on what we're saying up here. And I think that really shows how important this issue is on a bipartisan basis. So thank you so much. And now I will turn it over to my friend, Representative Kiggins.
Hey.
I'm Congresswoman Jen Kiggins. It's just an honor to be here with you. I am in my first term in Congress, but I remember the first week after the election when I had hired my staff, the first thing I did was take all of my D.C. staff down to my district, which is Hampton Roads. I represent probably the second largest military community, Virginia Beach and Norfolk area, and so home to Naval Air Station, Oceana, Norfolk Naval Base. But I took my staff down, I put them all in my minivan, and I said, let's drive around and let's look. Let's look at the base. Let's look at where our military families live. Think about what you're seeing and what we ask these guys to do on a daily basis. We could do so much better for them. So I can't tell you how excited I was when I got to Congress and to hear about this committee from Chairman Bacon and Chairman Rogers. I think I asked multiple times, please put me on that committee. We have so much work to do. So it was certainly a great honor to be here. But The places where we prioritize the pay issues, the pay and compensation issues, the child care, the housing. I mean, the GAO scathing housing report came out in the middle of our task force, highlighted so much need for improvement. The spouse employment issues, the health care issues. We're going to work on those things. I can't wait to see these things codified and put into law and for those changes to be felt by our servicemen and women. I do it not only for our active duty, as a Navy veteran, married to a Navy veteran. I'm also the mom to future veterans, and I think of them every time that I have the privilege of serving here in Congress. And last night I was on the phone with my son, who is just starting flight school down in Corpus Christi, and we were arguing about the Chinese, as we frequently do, and the threat of China. And he said, well, at the academy they used to tell us that even if they have better equipment, he said, we have better people. And that is true. We have amazing people. We have to take care of those people because all the toys we have, all the aircraft carriers, submarines, jets that we have, aren't going to do much without great people behind them. So that's been a goal of ours. And in closing, I just want to share one last story. I was in Israel last week for the week, meeting with Israeli people. We visited kibbutzes and the site of the music festival, and it was devastating to hear their stories. We were able to get intelligence briefs. We were able to sit down with families at dinner tables and hear their stories. And multiple times, not just from the military community, but from families in Israel, they said, thank you so much for sending your 2 Navy aircraft carriers to sit off the coast. That is the reason why we were not invaded from the north. Hezbollah did not invade Israel because you guys sent the U.S. Navy for us. So impactful for me representing that district. But we have to take care of those people. I'm so excited for the work we've done. I can't wait to see, again, it codified. But thank you so much for having us all today. Appreciate it. And with that, I think I'm introducing my friend and neighbor from North Carolina, Don Davis.
Thanks, Virginia. Let me say, truly, it's been a pleasure to be a part of this team. You can just sense every bit of the energy that's tied to all of the members who are serving here. To the chair, thank you so much for reaching out to me and asking me to be a part of this, and to our ranking member, for your support of our efforts. And to the elder Don.
Don squared.
Yeah, Don squared here. And to Chrissy, to our chairs, and to all the members. And to those witnesses that came and shared their stories, I would simply say it this way. Having worn the uniform, serving our country in the U.S. Air Force, and to be elected to come to Congress, and having the honor of serving on House Armed Services, there's nothing greater, I believe, that we can do than to help those who are still there in the trenches, day in and day out, to do their jobs by having the tools, having the support, resources, and the right environment for doing it. I want to share an interesting story. Hearing all of the witnesses and hearing and reaching out and talking to service members, one of the experiences I had, I went to Seymour Johnson Air Force Base in particular, and I knew there was concerns with the Child Development Center there. So I was on a bus, and I said, hold on, stop the bus. I want to get out and see this firsthand. So I'm walking up to the center, and all of a sudden, I see this little 4-year-old come up to the window, smiling, like in excitement to see me. Didn't know this person from Adam. But this is what I know. For every person that's a beneficiary of our service, whether it's through child care, any other form of service that they're receiving, we owe it to them. We owe it to them. And what we owe to them is the best opportunity to show up to work, to get the job done, because in this case, they have a special job of keeping the American people safe. So with that, it's truly been an honor, and I would say this is not just a reflection of what we owe that 4-year-old, but all those young kids out there who will become the future of our military and our armed services. So thank you for everyone that had a part to do with this, and I look forward to continue to help move these efforts forward. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mark, my friend Mark from our neighbor in Missouri.
Thank you very much. Good to be here. My name is Mark Alford, and I'm a representative from Missouri's 4th Congressional District, home of Whiteman Air Force Base, home of the B-2 stealth bomber, and also Fort Leonard Wood, a great DOD facility in the southeastern part of our district. Look, we've said many times in this quality of life panel, this is not a red issue, this is not a blue issue. This is a red, white, and blue issue. And I'm here today to tell you that these 40 pages right here contained in the Quality of Life Panel Report are going to change the military for the better. We owe it to the men and women who have signed up to fight and possibly die for us to give them the best. We are working hard to make sure that happens, and as our chairman said, this will be in the National Defense Authorization Act this year, and it will pass. This is about supporting the men and women who have dedicated their lives to protecting our great nation and ensuring freedoms for generations to come. At the very least, we can provide dignity through meaningful quality of life measures to our brave men and women. Look, folks, they're not asking for much, and it's our job to improve the environment and conditions in which they live. With Fort Leonard Wood in our district, I've seen firsthand the critical importance of improving quality of life there. And we're already making strides in that, bringing new barracks to Fort Leonard Wood, bringing new privatized housing so the men and women who serve there can be proud of where they live. We've seen barracks decay and much needed push for living improvements, and we're doing something about it. These recommendations are comprehensive, detailed, and in-depth, and ultimately they will enhance the quality of life from pay compensation, child care, housing improvements, and much, much more. These are tangible steps forward in the right direction. I did not serve in the military. I came here 16 months ago to make a difference. And thank God I'm on the Armed Services Committee to help rebuild our military, help rebuild the pride in America, to get more young people interested to join the military, and to improve our retention in the military. These steps, and with the leadership of Chairman Rogers and our ranking member, General Bacon and Ms. Houlahan, we are going to make a positive difference for America. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. So you can see that it's been a wonderful pleasure working with this great group of folks, and it's been a team sport all the way. I want to invite up some of our organizations that were great counselors, provided great perspectives. We tried our best to get great ideas from these service organizations. So I first want to bring up the leader from Blue Star, Kathy Roth-Duquet.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm Kathy Roth-Duquet, the co-founder and CEO of Blue Star Families, the nation's largest military family support organization with 280,000 members in our network, some are here, and more than 1.5 million family members engaged each year. Co-chairs Representative Bacon and Houlahan and the entire Quality of Life Committee panel listened to our members carefully and respectfully in compiling this report, and for that I am very grateful. The world is an increasingly dangerous place, and our military families are crucial to our nation's safety. We must create conditions for their success. This legislation addressing compensation, housing, spouse employment, child care, and access to health care respond to the on-the-ground challenges that our families report. Your commitment to this cause really encourages me. We ask for all of Congress's support to enact the proposed legislation and enable military families to choose to both serve their nation and see their families thrive. Thank you.
Awesome. Next, I'd like to invite up Shannon Rosenden with the Military Family Advisory Network.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shannon Razadin, and I want to start off by saying today is a really great day. Listening to everyone speak and hear these stories and the personal commitment has been something incredibly heartening. My husband retired from the Navy after 24 years in June. My family lived this life just like many of us here, and I think that just hearing your voice and hearing your commitment to this is something that will really inspire people, and so thank you. And I also want to make sure that we thank the staffs who really work alongside of you. You've been incredible in making the time to make sure that military families are heard, and we are really grateful for your energy and insightfulness that you brought to this process. As we've said today, our military is great because of its people. And it's also important to remember that our military is a microcosm of the broader population. We are not immune to challenges around childcare. We are not immune to challenges around the economy. We're not immune to challenges around the real estate market. Yet there are also these nuances that military families go through, like frequent moves, gaps in military spouse employment, and really a separation from a network support every time that you move. Our research and the research of our peers has shown problems like food insecurity and challenges with housing have really made it hard for people and their families to thrive while serving. And we know that for our military and our all-volunteer force to thrive, we need those families to also thrive. So this report, it really makes clear steps. We are incredibly grateful, and it also complements the work that's been done by the Department of Defense and the Taking Care of People initiative, which I think is really important to commend as well. So I'm sure I can speak on behalf of my colleagues here today, our full network of MVAN, and just say we're here, we are ready to support this, we feel heard, and we're really grateful for the work that's been done, so thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce someone I served with. I was a 1-star when he was a colonel, but he went on to be 3 stars. Passed me by. But Lieutenant General Brian Kelly with the Military Officers Association of America.
Well, I want to start first by thanking Chairman Rogers for putting this panel together. It's really, really important, and as was said already, you heard from us, so thank you. I also want to thank you and Ranking Member Smith for passing an NDA every year. It sounds trivial, but it is not, and it is really appreciated by the MSO and the VSO community, so thank you very much for that. I certainly want to express my deepest appreciation for Representatives Bacon and Houlahan and all of the lawmakers and panelists and staff who developed this report that outlines so many ways to improve the lives of our service members and their families. The Military Officers Association of America and our 350,000 national members believe that it is the people who make a strong national defense possible, and it's the people who deserve our support the most. Our association is dedicated to representing and advocating on behalf of all service members across all ranks and all services, and MOA is particularly pleased that the panel provided extra attention to our junior enlisted members and families who need support the most. This panel's work is not just about showing gratitude and honoring sacrifice. This panel's work measures and outlines improvements in readiness, boosts recruiting and retention, and keeps our military the strongest fighting force in the world. Just next week, on April 17th, hundreds of MOA's members from across the country will be up here on Capitol Hill with every congressional office, visiting all, to advocate for a number of issues that we are passionate about, including restoring housing allowances to 100%. So it is absolutely heartening, and we thank you to see this measure highlighted in the report, strengthening our resolve as MOA heads into our annual Advocacy and Action campaign. The investments cited here today in compensation, housing, child care, and health care have provided the potential to truly make an immediate impact. But we all understand there is much more work to be done, and I want to assure all the members of Congress that MOA and our members are committed to supporting you in this important and imperative mission as we work together to support those who are possibly making national defense strong. So thank you.
Finally, I'd like to introduce Besa Pichatti with the National Military Family Association. Thank you for helping us out with the panels.
Hi, everyone. I'm Besa Pichatti, CEO of the National Military Family Association. And NMFA has been advocating for and with military families for 55 years now. And for the past 20 years, we've had programs that help families through every phase of military life. One of those programs is Operation Purple Camp, and it's where kids get to go to a free week of sleepaway camp at locations all around the country, and they're around kids just like them who understand what it's like to be a military kid. This year alone, we already have a couple hundred applications from young families, junior enlisted, E1 through E4. And I heard from one of those moms, and she said that things have been hard. She joined the military because she wanted to do something for this country. She cared about America. She wanted to serve. She wanted to do something greater than herself, and she wanted to pass that patriotism on to her children. But you know what else she told me? She said it's really hard to make ends meet, and sometimes they just feel like they're in over their heads. That mom, her kids, that family, they need that 15% pay increase. They need that basic needs allowance. They need access to it. They need quality, affordable childcare. They need all of the things that are outlined, all of the recommendations that the Quality of Life panel has put together. And we need them. We need them to continue to serve and support our country. So I want to thank the Quality of Life panel for all of your hard work. It means so much. We feel heard, we feel supported, listened to, and these recommendations, they're so important. And I hear you saying they're going to pass, and I want you to know that we're here with you every step of the way. We're going to continue to advocate as we have been for 55 years now, and we're going to keep pushing until these quality of life recommendations are passed, and they will make things better for our families. We always say together we're stronger, and I definitely see that displayed here today. Thank you.
Thank you. That's awesome. Appreciate you. Last but not least, I just want to thank the staff. You know, they took our inputs, really wrote a great report, and worked with us iteratively. And you would expect that, but it's easier said than done. And this is a great report that they put all the nice, made it look really nice with our inputs. So we want to have an opportunity for people to ask questions. If they're really hard, I'm going to pass them on to Chrissy Houlahan. I'll take the easy ones. Okay? Yes, sir.
Congressman, you had talked in the past about maybe phasing some of these in over a few years because of the costs associated with them. Are you thinking now that all this will go into?
Well, I defer probably to the chairman, but we were thinking that a year ago, but these are so important. I believe the chairman wants to get this done this year. But
This year. So what cost complications does that cost you? Because you are dealing with some caps on defense spending this year. Do you think you'll have to blow past that in order to get these in and get all the other priorities in?
Well, every year we have struggles with defense spending. As this year's no different. But we're going to, at a minimum, have an $895 billion bill. We're going to find the room in that bill to do this. But yeah, we're going to have complications. I'm not going to argue that we won't, but it won't just be because of this. It's because of a whole spectrum of threats and platforms and issues. But this is going to be done.
yes, ma'am.
There's been a lot of pushback on just privatized housing as a concept. I'm curious, where you see the balance, because there's a section on privatized housing.
And we didn't change any plans for moving away from privatized housing, but we have some plans to improve upon it. So part of the issue is I think 40% of the service members that live off base, as we looked, the housing allowance didn't equal what they really needed. Does that make sense? That impacts privatized housing because those who live on base, that money goes to the privatized owners for maintenance. And so by improving what we pay to what we figure the housing allowances are, by making that better, that will have an immediate impact also on the privatized housing. So we have some programs. We want a more transparent computation too. How do you determine what the right allowances are? What we found generally, we were underpaying folks in the high cost areas like Washington, D.C. and San Diego. If you lived in places like where I'm at in Nebraska and other areas, it was reasonable. But some of the high cost areas, folks were not getting enough money to live. And then you saw an increase in food bank requirements and all that. This all lays on top of each other. If you underpay someone, then you're taking 5% off their housing allowance. The spouses can't find a job. You're not paying allowances for off base that equal what it is. You put all that on top of each other, you have a huge problem for that young enlisted person paying their bills and putting food on the table. What I think we did a good job up here. We answered everybody. Okay. Should we make it a wrap?
Yep.
Okay, let's do it.